Design shapes the way you live. I'm Nico, an interior design expert focused on the connection between home and well-being. Using science, design, and professional expertise, I'll help you shape a space that elevates your mindset and enhances your well-being. Let's create space for better living, starting now. Welcome back to Your Home by Design, the show where we explore how your home can support your health, your happiness, and your well-being. Today's episode is inspired by a recent weekend where we hosted a house full of guests, 7 overnight and 16 at dinner. It was busy, beautiful, and a reminder of how deeply our spaces affect our experience. One space in particular, our bathroom, really stood out to me after a deep clean. It shifted from functional to restorative, and it got me thinking about how easy it is to overlook this important room. So in this episode, we're diving into the power of a well-designed bathroom, from daily routines to spa-inspired elements, and how even the smallest shift can create a big change in how you feel. Whether you're planning a full reno or just want to refresh what you have, you'll leave with ideas you can start today to create a spa-inspired bathroom. Let's dive in. So recently we had a house full. There was one night where we had 7 guests stay the night, and we had a dinner of 16. So it was busy, but I really, really love having guests. You get to share your home, you get to spend quality time together, and you just get to catch up. Our guests are often family from out of town, so we have stuff to catch up on. And I think it's just a nice break from the normal routines and the normal pace of life. I find I slow down a little bit when there's guests. Our family focus shifts more to entertaining and conversations. We linger in the morning more than normal. We stay up a little later at night. But so it's great when we have guests. Leading up to it is another story, as well as when they leave, because I like our home to be freshly cleaned before the guests come, and I like it to be freshly cleaned after they go, because it's just nice to have that out of the way to remove any unnecessary visual clutter. And I think it's really nice for your guests as well to come to a clean, organized home. And typically I make sure the whole house is cleaned. And to be honest, we have a pretty busy life, like most people. I'm sure you do as well. And unfortunately, a deep clean can kind of get put to the back of the priority list, right? So it's nice to be able to tackle that before guests come. Because there are times where a deep clean just doesn't happen as often as we might want, right? So one of the rooms in this deep clean was our master bathroom. And I pay attention to how I feel in rooms. And after this deep clean, I felt it. It was so nourishing walking into that room after it was cleaned. The rewards of that were felt. And I'm sure you know that feeling where a space has had a deep clean and then you find it more enjoyable. As you go about your daily routines, your perspective on that room has had a shift. I find for myself, aside from feeling better in this space, I all of a sudden sort of want to add some extra special touches like flowers and nice scents, more so than when it hasn't been cleaned. And when we look at what happens during a deep clean, it's things like decluttering, just getting it more organized. The space is freed up. You become more intentional and you kind of analyze the room. Maybe you make some small changes. You move some things around. It moves from a place of pure function to a place of experience. It shifts from that place that drains you to a place that nourishes you and restores you. Because for most of us, the bathroom plays such a big role in how we start our day and how we end our day. But it can become an afterthought. Right? I mean, it can be overlooked and really not always thought of as a place to create an experience. I've worked on bathroom renovations where the clients were so function forward, where at the early stages, they had a hard time just getting past certain things, right? Like a faucet is a faucet. A toilet is a toilet. So the function took precedence over how it looked and how it felt. And I understand that because bathrooms are often just function forward spaces, but they really did overlook how they felt when they were using certain things. They hadn't really thought of, say, the orientation of the bathtub, if it was currently in the right spot, or where else would it be better, or, where their eyes land when they're soaking in the tub. Is there a wall that it would be great to have a piece of art, or to have some interesting detail that would just make the bathing experience better, visually better. And in the early stages, so when we look at the layout and how to amp up the look, well, I've actually told clients, go sit on toilets, go test them out, not literally test them out, but just go to some showrooms and sit down on them. And why do I tell them to do this? Well, because there's a variety of heights and widths of toilets. Even though they are fairly standardized, you can still get a few different heights. So each person is a different, they could be shorter, they could be taller. So it's really important to sit and test and see if it feels right for you. And if, you got to factor in all of these details and the experience of the room. I've had clients where I've presented plans where we completely changed the orientation of the tub so that, what they see changed. Are they looking at a piece of art? Are they looking at an interesting detail? Or maybe we've changed the orientation so they can look out of a window and see the sky. You don't often know until you see what the possibilities are. You really think through how you're using the space, or how you could use the space, so until it's been brought to your attention, until you've experienced a shift, a change, like when you do a deep clean and then you start to rearrange, right? I mean, you've created space in the room. Therefore, you've created space in your brain to see it differently, and to critique it and experience in a new way. And you've created room physically and mentally to think about it. I have a bathroom guide called Bathroom Serenity, and I'm actually just finishing revamping it and adding things. I'm updating it. And I think this guide is so useful, and it's not overly complicated, but that's probably why I gravitated towards this topic. When I was looking at my topic ideas, I really gravitated towards this one, but I think it's probably because my head is in bathroom design right now. But in the guide, I mention how our bathrooms are often a gateway. It's where you kind of prep your mind for the day ahead, and where you let go of the day behind. And I thought, Bathroom Serenity, that's the name of my guide, was a beautiful thing to focus on creating, because I think whether or not you're doing a reno or just a refresh, this is something that can be achieved, right? If you're doing a reno, you can make more design changes, but if you're doing a refresh, you can still make really impactful changes. So, and why? Why is this important? Well, because no doubt in the bathroom, it's a huge part of how you start your day. And the room can often feel more utilitarian feeling, and that can really impact you if it's feeling too sterile, or if you're not interacting with it in really positive ways, right? Like it can really shift your thinking. And I think that that's a beautiful thing when you're looking at how you're starting your day and how you're ending your day. So before I talk about the top ways that you can create a spa-inspired bathroom and why from a health stance it's important, let's chat about some spa bathrooms. I had some fun looking into this for this episode. I checked out some of the neatest hotel in-room spa bathrooms. Yeah, some up and coming hotels, some world-renowned spas, as well as some trends that we're seeing more of in the bathroom. Now, I know I just dropped the dreaded word trends, and I am not one for trends, but I do encourage, anyone so before I talk about some of the top ways that you can create a spa inspired bathroom and why, just from a health stance, it's important, let's chat about some spa bathrooms. I had some fun looking into this for this episode. I gotta say, I haven't checked out some luxury hotel spa bathrooms in a while. And yeah, I perused the internet to see what's going on right now in hotel design and how they're incorporating some of these most beautiful things into the rooms. So a few of these I'm sure you've seen or you've heard of, and then a few perhaps you haven't. But yeah, I was left feeling like I wanted to check out a spa for sure. I'm like, I need to do a travel destination and go to a spa because there are some amazing, amazing hotel spas. Anyway, so I checked out some of the in-room spas, and like I said, they were amazing. Some of the trends that we're seeing more of in bathrooms as well. So I know I just dropped the dreaded word trends, but if you know me, I am not one for trends. At Pero, we do not encourage people to follow trends because we want people to build in authenticity and longevity into their design to boost their well-being and their lifestyle. So we don't focus on trends, but I do encourage people to follow things that will create, in a bathroom, true sanctuary for well-being. And there are certain design elements that come into style and become a trend for a reason. And I think with the advancement of, the data that we're getting on how our environments do impact our health and our well-being, I do think some of these trends are more here to stay, right? So as we get into these, I always do caution people, if they are making a big design commitment, like let's say a steam room, that they make sure that the investment is something they will commit to and that it's not a fad for them, but it's a way of life. And, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, then I'm sure you're somebody who is interested in how design can impact your life for the better and how you can create space just for better living and drop the trends and not worry about that and just create a space for you that's intentional and aligned with how you live and how you want to live and really put you on the path of change for the better. Okay, so let's get into some of them. And maybe before I get into it, I just want you to pause for a sec. Just take a sec to think about a spa experience you had or a bathroom somewhere that you loved in a hotel or a place you rented, and just picture the experience. And I want you to think about what element from that could you recreate in your home easily. So for me, when I think about an experience I've had, the first thing I think about is this perfect bathtub experience, where I'm talking like the in-room bath that overlooks nature. Now, that, to be honest, isn't realistic for my space. I don't have the square footage and the layout to, knock out walls and recreate that experience. So if I think about another really great experience, I've had some amazing steams with the scent of eucalyptus. And I know that I can easily recreate this experience, right? I mean, I can get lavender and eucalyptus shower steamers. Like, this is a very easy thing that I can do. So even though it's not a steam room, but when I close my eyes and I'm, the warmth of the shower and the steam and whatever, and the scent, it has a visceral effect. And I just want to mention this because if you are looking for some immediate benefits, which we all need, even if we're in the midst of planning a reno, these are things that you can do right now to benefit you. So give it some thought and see what sort of comes to mind, the things that you can recreate, the experience that you can recreate easily, that's going to have an immediate positive impact on you. Okay, so some great things I've seen lately is chromotherapy. Chromotherapy is, it's basically, I'm sure you've seen like rain heads that change colors. It's the use of light with water. So, okay, so some great things I've seen lately is chromotherapy, also known as color therapy. So it's just the use of color. But in particular, when we're talking about the bathroom, it's often used in areas like rain heads that change color, bathtubs that change color. So as you're soaking in the deep soaking bathtub, the color is changing, or you can select a specific color for the mood that you're trying to create. Now, just imagine for a second being in a shower and you can control the levels of light. So the use of smart showers with smart technology, things that like niches with controllable light levels. These can have really relaxing effects. And when you're experiencing or trying to create the experience of a spa-like bathroom. When you walk into your bathroom, if you can control the light levels, any type of additional control that you have on a room, particularly with light, has a great impact on us. So and you can, I will mention though that if the lighting is not spectrally optimized, then we can't heal the physical body on a cellular level, but you certainly can make use of just creating the most relaxing experience with the use of color. Another one is infrared saunas, which I love infrared saunas. I was looking at some luxury hotels that have them in the room, right? So in the bathroom, you'll have, I actually saw one where the soaker tub was flanked on either side. One was a steam room and one was an infrared sauna. Like it literally looked amazing. So you could go have a steam, you could have a soak, you could have an infrared, you could have it all. It was beautiful. But, this is, and saunas, this is something that is certainly trendy right now in home saunas and steam rooms, or pair it with a cold plunge and you have a leading wellness trend. But again, having an infrared sauna is very beneficial, right? So sure, if it's trendy, great. But if it's a lifestyle, then it's not a trend for you, right? And I love this one because I do think saunas are so, they do have such amazing health benefits. So to utilize one of those, to incorporate it if you can into your space would be certainly amazing. And a simple one, yet a really nice touch, is a heated towel bar. Depending on where you're from, in Canada, it's just not as common. And so for you, it might be more commonplace. Here in Canada, it certainly is a nice touch to a bathroom. So, but it isn't as common. But it is nice to treat yourself to get out of the shower and just wrap up in a warm towel. And not to mention your towel would dry faster as well. Another one, which I think this one is just so impactful, and this really has spa all over it, it's a wet room. So a wet room is basically a room with, it's a bathroom with no division. So the shower and your bathtub, everything coexist in an open room. So you're not going to see any shower curbs, or, you may not see any shower glass. And I love this because I think it just opens the room up and it really, really gives it that luxury spa feel. So this is really, truly a bathing experience. And if you have the space to create it and it works with the layout, then this is one that I think would be such a great investment. But again, it's a lifestyle choice. So it has to suit how you use or want to use the space, because it is quite particular. You've either got two options where you're dividing the space, and the wet room is the shower and the bathtub, and then you've got your vanity and toilet on a separate space divided by glass, or you've got the whole thing open and then it literally is a wet room. Okay, so those were just a few that I've seen that I wanted to share with you. So let's talk about some of the top ways that you can begin to create a spa-inspired bathroom at home. And I'm not going to give away everything because I do have a lot of this in my Bathroom Serenity Guide, which I am just finishing putting the final few little touches on it, but it's revamped and it's awesome. So you'll have to check that out soon. I do want to give you a few ideas to start thinking differently about your space. So let's begin with light. So think of the difference between a harsh overhead bulb and the kind of soft glow you get from a candle or a small lamp. Light really changes how we feel in a space instantly. So start noticing the light in the bathroom at different times of day, right? Because, you could switch to a warmer bulb or a small light source, or simply light a candle in the evening. Like light shifts can completely change the atmosphere of a space. And, I will say that if you switch to a warmer bulb, and I do have an episode on this, but where I talk about, and I've mentioned this already today, but, a spectrally optimized LED light, because they've actually adjusted the wavelengths of the light. So if you're looking for, a space that at night you really want to wind down, then you could consider doing a spectrally optimized bulb, because that's going to really impact your circadian rhythms, which is going to help you get ready for bedtime, get ready for sleep. But if it's just a case of you're just wanting to create a relaxing vibe in your bathroom, then certainly a warmer toned bulb, not necessarily spectrally optimized, is going to help with that. Next, let's talk about texture. Spa-like spaces tend to include a lot of materials that feel really good to touch, right? And they're pleasing to look at. So when you go to a spa, you're often going to get like a plush, thick towel or robe, nice baskets. You might see a wooden tray or woven baskets. This doesn't necessarily mean you need to replace everything, but small little touches. What are the little things that you reach for daily that could feel better? If you've got some old towels that you're using or an old bath mat that's got stains on it, just start looking at things that you can replace and update, and just start small and build from there, because the little touches, it's really amazing how small touches that you interact with every single day have a big impact on you. And collectively, if you can do a few of them, that will definitely help with that. And then there's calmness. This is all about reducing visual noise. So most of us have clutter without even realizing it. And it's sort of this evolving door, if you will, where, for a moment you might clear the clutter away, and then it slowly creeps back onto the counters if you're in a rush or whatever. But we just have random things near and around the sink, right? And our brain sees all of it, even when we think we've tuned it out. So choose one surface to reset, just one, clear it off, and then put back only what adds a sense of calm. Okay. It's not about having nothing. It's about just creating space to breathe. Okay. So if you've got somewhere that you can put it, can you reorganize one of your cabinets in your bathroom? Or can you, purchase a new cabinet, a wall mounted cabinet, or a shelf or something where you can collect your things that don't need to be on the counter and put them away so that they're not as visible. One of the most powerful things that you can use is scent. So whether it's an essential oil or a bar of soap with a beautiful aroma or a subtle candle, these are the things I talked about it earlier, right? Using, a shower bomb, right? Where you can have that experience of a scent in the bathroom. You could try placing a scent element by the sink, or even a few drops of essential oils in your shower, right? Like, it doesn't need to be dramatic, just enough to help your brain register what mode you're in, right? What are you trying to create? Perhaps you have a morning scent and you have an evening scent, and you just take a quick few seconds and just put that scent out in the morning and put it out in the evening. And that just allows your brain to register, I am wanting to wake up, or I'm wanting to rest. And the last one is sound. Sound, in the bathroom, this can often be overlooked, right? But it can create a major shift. Think of adding a calming playlist, water sounds, or even a tiny sound machine to mask noise from the rest of your house. So what are you hearing when you're trying to wind down at night? Are you hearing the drain? So just make it intentional. Think about the sound that you can create while you're in that space. I just think that this one actually is overlooked a lot. I think if we're soaking in a tub, often, people put music on, and that's amazing. But where else can you do that? When else can you do that? Can you do that in the morning as you're getting ready? As you're washing your face, as you're putting your makeup on, as you're brushing your teeth, whatever it is, or you're shaving, think about it. If you were to amp yourself up in the morning with an awesome playlist while you were getting ready for your day, that would be pretty great. So anyway, those are 5 quick ideas. They're simple but powerful. So light, texture, calmness, scent, and sound. They're also the core principles that I do talk about in the Bathroom Serenity Guide. So you can check that out. That'll be coming out soon. So if you're curious about transforming your bathroom into more of a creative space, one that actually supports your routines and well-being, then definitely, yes, check out the guide. But I just want to remind you as we close this episode, intentionality is key to design. And when you want to transform your bathroom into a little spa-inspired space, you have to start with being intentional and about how you interact with the space. Are you setting yourself up for success? Is it clean? Is it functional? Is it tidy? Are there some spa-like touches that remind you of that experience, right? That you simply relax and create calm, or it gives you energy as you wake up and start your day. But mostly, are you carving out the time that you need to properly set yourself up for your day or wind down at night? So as we wrap up, I just want to go over some quick takes, some things that we chatted about. The first one is a deep clean is more than just a task. It's a perspective shift. It helps you see your space with fresh eyes and reconnect with how it makes you feel. Small touches can have a big impact. So whether it's scent, texture, or lighting, these simple changes elevate your bathroom from functional to nourishing. Let's pause that. So as we wrap up, here are a few things to remember. I've got 5 things, just quick takes from today. But the first one, a deep clean is more than a task. It's a perspective shift. It helps you see your space with fresh eyes and reconnect with how it makes you feel. Number 2, small touches can have a big impact. So whether it's scent, texture, or lighting, these simple changes elevate your bathroom from functional to nourishing. Number 3, design is about experience. Don't just think about what's in your bathroom. Think about how it makes you feel at the start and end of your day. Number 4, rethink the essentials. Items like heated towel bars, wet rooms, or smart lighting aren't just trends. They can be tools for better living if they align with your lifestyle. And number 5, create space for calm. That might mean clearing a simple surface or adding a soft glow. Choose one small action this week to make your bathroom feel more like a spa sanctuary. And I just want to leave you with a quote from Mark Twain after he experienced a top spa in Germany. And he said, after 10 minutes, you will forget the time, and after 20 minutes, the world. And isn't that why we all love spas? Because you want to go into a spa, you want to have that experience, and you want to forget the time. You want to be able to be present. You want to be in the moment. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you for listening. Thanks so much for listening today. If you found this episode helpful, the best way to support the show is to follow along and share it with someone who'd love it too. And if you'd like to go a step further, you can become one of our Better Living backers. It's a small monthly contribution that helps keep the show going. And as a thank you, I'll send you a personal note along with a 15% discount for the Create Space course when it launches. You can find the support the show link right in the show notes. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for creating space with me.